We actually dig a little deeper inside us. We check if we are we going to make some mistakes when we are having the conversation. And it is fine, it's not that if we are all perfect. And finally, we may have played a part in that situation. We have, because of us, that situation has come up. So how do we deal with that situation and that conversation? Any example, if any of us can think of such situation where I played a part, we played a part?
In my situation is about disability communications. Basically, I just share that the salary that is on the Excel file was the wrong one because this employees get demoted to job level 3 when we had the integrations, and we do the neutralizing of the compensation. So he got an increase starting 1st of January. But the one that used in the Excel file was the old one. Should have checked. I missed it. So that's really what's worrying me. How first she will react, how I gonna talk this to my boss.
I think this is very delicate, right? The situation. Just imagine the person who's receiving, and especially talking the salary review time, where this really matters big time. I'm currently having a situation like that. One of my direct report wrongly updated the appraisal score. Systems are closed. Everything is frozen. It's not that easy. The thing is, what my first worry was, how is the person who's going to be receiving that going to handle it? First thing is, she will be thinking that my boss did not do a good job for me. And that puts it all. So preparing, being very, I would say, programmed or planned for it is very important.
I think it's always quite challenging when mistakes and things are involved and how it impacts your credibility or your team's credibility.
Yeah, I think it's a common theme that we have, that especially during the compensation cycle, that when we make a mistake, do we directly own it and then go up to the manager and just say that there was a mistake of mine. But it's okay, like I said, that we are bound to make mistakes, especially this is work related mistake, but even while having the conversation, just before it, let us explore the possible options. And the third one is get perspective. Now we just get so bogged down with that whole situation that we don't think anything ahead of it or behind it. It's a good idea to just take a step back and look at the overall situation and think that what might happen 3 months down the line, what might happen 6 months down the line, what's the worst that can happen. So get perspective. So these are some of the tactics that we all can use before actually having the conversation. The next step is detox that we spoke about. How can we minimize a potential conflict? Right. The first one is opening lines. So, in our view, what is the best way to initiate the conversation? Should we tell the person a lot of good stuff? And I heard people saying that let us balance it. So should we talk, that you are a good, valuable performer in the organization in the case that she mentioned, and then go to the heart of the message, or should we initiate with the heart, with the direct message that we want to give?
I think it depends on who you're talking to and what kind of things they like to hear first, and also the situation.
Okay, but do we feel that the person may be misled by that? Because if we start talking positive and then eventually we give a challenging message, how does that help the individual?
Yes, maybe it depends on what you want to get across. So if it's just a performance related issue but you don't want to let him or her go, then the point is to make improvement. So then maybe I would start off with something good and say, this is my challenging message, but the whole point of it is because I really want you to improve and this is serious. But when I'm trying to fire somebody, then maybe I would take the challenging message first.
Sure.
What about in a situation like Trisha's, a mistake has been made about your salary review?
Yeah, I did some tips there.
Your hair looks nice today, by the way.
Yeah, but research says that it's always good to straight away go to the heart of the matter first, and then talk about other things, because people may just feel that the manager has confused me. If you're talking about manager team member, conversation, I have been misled. There is mistrust, which is why it may not help the cause of delivering the challenging message. And the other part is mediate. So what do we mean by mediate? So typically, and at least I had that habit of telling, whenever I used to give feedback, I used to say that you have not done this, you have not done this, and you could do this. Some managers, they give feedback with the second person keeping them in mind. So you did this, you have done that, you did not do this, right? You're seeing the difference. In the first instance, I start with I. In the second instance, I start with you. But the best way to give such feedback is to think from a third person's perspective. Now, if there is an issue that has led to a customer conflict, then you can just say that the customer has given the feedback. So the ownership from me and you to a third party. Right? So these feedbacks or these challenging messages are always better as compared to just giving a direct I or a you first person or a second person feedback. Then we talk about expressing. Now we have our, now we have gone through how do we prepare, we have thought about detoxing. Now how do we actually communicate? Here we need to think of two things. The first is complexity, which means that try to create a more complex and a holistic picture. Don't be unidimensional. You are this, lazy, you have not done work. It does not mean that we give false positive feedback, but look at the overall picture and give feedback which includes positive elements also, realistically. And the second is to express how we feel rather than being judgmental. So you have not done this. Generally, the feedback goes like, I think you're bright and you need to pull up your socks, right? So the idea is to not tell the person that I think you're lazy, you're not doing the job. Don't be judgmental. Express your feeling. I feel frustrated and angered because this is not happening, right? So that works better. And finally, impact. How do we manage the impact of our conversation with the employees or the other person that we want to deliver the message? First is extend the invitation. Invite them into conversation. Inquire, ask questions. Do you agree with this? Do you have a different point of view? And finally, listen. Listen to what people have to say. In that case, people will have more ownership and more acceptance to the message that we are
The
delivering.
conversation gets even more effective in those cases.
Correct.
When we give that time to them.
So we have looked at all these techniques. Which are some of them that resonates with you? Does it in your situation that we spoke about?
Getting to the point is probably when you don't want to hurt people's feelings. That's often the case. You tend to want to sugarcoat or take your time to get there, but being direct is the best way.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's the matter of how do we balance the point and also the complexity part. In different situations, somehow we need to go to the point, somehow we need to create some more layers.
Yeah. So kind of present a complex picture rather than being unidimensional. What else? Any other thoughts?
Also, I think I like this as well, that it is important to listen in, because you just don't want it to be something that you're only sharing your perspective. You also want the person equally into this, right? So you want them to get put their stakes in and take You want to see change, and hence you want them to be part of this. So it's, how will you draw that out is also important, I think, in the conversation.
Yeah. And once you are more open to listening,
Yeah.
the other person, it also helps you in the future, because when you
Yeah.
have subsequent conversation, the person is ready to listen to you even more.
Yeah.
Thank you, Baba. Yeah, Jayanti?
I think there are many, almost all the four techniques which you're talking about, we all have to work on. But first one I would see is in terms of preparation, because most of our colleagues which have this kind of experience comes with their own reasoning of why and why not, and so it's very difficult when we have to give a challenging message. And that's where I think I will try and be fully prepared, taking the third party information, keeping everything ready, and so that I'm very open to it.
Sure. Yeah, preparation is the key. Any other thoughts?
Somehow, by asking them the question, somehow the people actually admit that they probably deserve that thing or they did something wrong. I think that's from my previous experience. So if we spend a little more time, it could go smoothly with the inquiry and listening.
Inquiry and listening. Yeah, because at the end of the day, we also expect that, right? If somebody is giving a message to us, then we also want to be heard. And the same thing when we are delivering a challenging message. So, fine. I think thank you very much. I think that's the end of this first part of this module. I would now hand it over to Hannah, who will take us through the remaining sections of this module. So, thank you very much. Hope you all learned something out of this. Thank you.
Thank you.